Hi students, welcome to online class. So today we are going to see in this video chapter 12 structured query language. So in this video we are going to discuss about the components of SQL. So last video we have discussed about processing skills of SQL. So now in this video we are going to see about what are the components which are involved in the SQL. There are 5 components are there which is in SQL. What are the 5 components means? DDL, data definition language. DDL, data definition language, and then DML, data manipulation language, and then DCL, data control language, and then TCL, transaction control language, and then last one is DQL, that is data query language. So these are the 5 important components of SQL: DDL, data definition language; DML, data manipulation language; and then DCL, data control language; TCL, transaction control language; and then last one is DQL, data query language. So in this video we are going to discuss about the first 2 components, DDL and DML. So these 2 components are very important. So what is mean by DDL? Data definition language. So already in the last video itself we discussed the DDL is used to create the structure for the database, right? See here, the data definition language consists of SQL statements used to define the database structure or schema. So we are going to create the structure for the database. So creating the structure for the database in the sense creating the column for the database. So what are all the relations, what are all the columns, what are all the fields that should be in the database. So that is created using the data definition language. See here, it simply deals with the descriptions of the database schema and is used to create and modify the structure of the database objects in databases. So we are going to create and modify the database schema. We are going to create and modify the table structure using the DDL, using the data definition language. So using this particular language only we can create the structure. So except these DDL commands, we cannot use some other commands to create or modify the database table. So this is only going to give the structure for the database, right? So the DDL provides a set of definitions. The DDL provides the set of definitions to specify the storage structure and access methods used by the database system. So how to store the data? How to store the data? So these things can be specified. For example, whenever you are filling the form, they are asking your name, applicant's name, applicant's name. Then what will you fill? You will fill your name. Whether you will fill your father's name? No. Why? Because they have asked the applicant's name. Whenever they are asking the contact number, whether you will write the email ID? No. So what is specified in that particular column? They are asking the mobile number. So we used to fill the mobile number. So like that, these specifications, storage structure and access methods, everything will be specified using the DDL, data definition language. Right. Now let us see the functions of the DDL. What are all the functions which are done by the DDL language, that is data definition language. So it should identify the type of data division such as data item, segment, record and database file. So it is used to identify the data item, which data is used to store in that particular column, which data should be stored in the database file, which record. So each and every data is identified, each and every data is divided, and then it is identified what type of data they are giving, right? So like that. So everything, for example, whenever I go for a mobile number, contact number, the data will be a numeric data, that is number. Whenever I am going to fill the name of the student or name of the employee, I used to give the alphabets, I used to give the characters, so it will not be a number. So each and every data should be segmented, segregated, separated, and then each and every data should be identified, and then it should be stored in the database table. So it gives the unique name for each data item type, record type, and then field, file type, and database. So we should not give same name for each and every column, that is each and every relation. Each and every relation should not contain the same name. Each and every column should have a unique name. And then it should contain different data items. It should contain different data items. And then you should not store same record again and again. Same record means same tuple, same row. For example, already whenever you are creating the email ID, if you are giving some username, if that particular username already exists, what it shows? The username is already taken by another user. So the username exists. You want to choose some other username. So like that, it gives the unique name for the each and every data item type, record type, file type, and database. So table name should also be unique. You should not give two tables same name. So whenever we are creating the files in the Windows operating system, whenever you are creating a folder name or file name, if the same file name already exists, what it shows? File name already exists. So like that. Can you understand, students? It should specify the proper data type. So each and every data whatever we are storing in the table, the data type will be specified in the data type will be specified when we are creating the table. Before itself I told you example, mobile number. So whenever they are creating the mobile number column, that is mobile number relation in the table, they will specify the data type as number. So we should specify only number. If you are giving other than number, it won't accept. For example, some of them they used to give fake things in each and every column. So at that time, if you are giving some other data which is not related to that, so it won't accept. So the proper data type will be specified using the DDL command, using the DDL language. So each and every column data type will be specified. And then it should define the size of the data item. For example, whenever you are creating the password for the email ID, it shows 6 to 8 characters should be specified. If you are giving less than 6 characters, it won't accept. Why it is not accepting? Because the rule, whenever the user is giving the password, they have created the rule. What is the rule? 6 to 8 characters should be specified. So like that, it should define the size of the data item. What is the size? So mobile number, we have only 10 numbers, 10 digits. 10 digits, not numbers, 10 digits. So if you are giving more than 10 digits, it won't accept. It may define the range of values that a data item may use. And then you can specify the range. So what is the value you can give? Maximum value you can give. Minimum value you can give. For example, whenever you are filling a particular field, you are filling the marks. For example, whenever the class teacher is preparing the consolidated mark sheet, now most of them they are creating the manual mark sheet. Is it right or not? Your class teacher is writing in a note or a paper. and then recording all the data and then giving to the principal. So instead of that, if the teacher is preparing the mark sheet in the system, in the database, if the teacher and accidentally he or she is giving more than 100 marks, for example, instead of typing 20 marks, he is typing 120, then what will happen? So it should not be accepted. Why? Because 120 mark is not a correct mark. 120 is a wrong. Maximum mark is 100. The teacher is specified, the teacher has specified 120. So it should not be accepted. So now here we can specify the range of value. What is the minimum value? So 0 to 100. 100 is accepted. 0 to 100. So the range of value for each and every relation can be specified. Right? And then it may specify the privacy lock for preventing unauthorized data entry. So like in the last video we have discussed that authorization. So each and every data should be accessed only, each and every table should be accessed only by the authorized persons. Unauthorized persons, if they are accessing, means they can know the data, what is stored in the table, what are all the things which are stored in the table. So those things can be viewed by the unauthorized persons. So we can use the privacy lock for preventing the unauthorized data entry. Right? These are the functions of DDL. Now we can discuss about the DDL commands, that is SQL commands which are used by DDL, which comes under DDL. Right? So there are 4 commands are there. So what are they means? Create, alter, and then drop and then truncate. So create command is used to create the table in the database. So inside the database you can use the create command to create the table. Alter command is used to alter the structure of the table. Structure in the sense, for example, if you want to insert a new relation, new column, if you want to delete a particular column, so those things can be done through the alter command. So most probably they used to insert a new column for that purpose, or else modify the column, doing some changes in the column. Right? So those things can be done through alter command. So create table command is used to create the table in the database. Alter command is used to do the modifications. Modifications means altering the structure of the database. And then drop command is used to delete a particular table. Delete a particular table. When a database contains one or more table, you can delete the entire table. Right? So that all the data which is stored in the table will be deleted. Right? So drop command is used to delete the table from the database. Then truncate. What is mean by truncate? Remove all the records. So records in the sense tuple, that is row. So remove all the records from the table. Also it releases the storage space which is occupied by those records. So what are all each and every record will occupy some memory. So those memory will also be released. So whenever we are using the truncate command, we have an advantage. What is the advantage? So it is not only removing the records, it is not only removing the rows, as well as it also frees it also make free the memory which is occupied by the records in the table. Can you understand, students? 4 commands, very important commands. Create command, create the database, create the table in the database. Alter command is used to alter the structure. Drop is used to delete the table. Truncate is used to remove all the records. Right? So now we can see the DML. So last thing we have discussed about DDL. DDL mainly used to create the structure for the table. Now DML, data manipulation language. So after creating the table, after creating the structure, we want to store the data inside the table. So for that we are using DML. So it is a computer programming language used for adding, that is inserting, removing and modifying the data in the database. So after creating the table, main thing is we want to store the data. So for that purpose, we can use the DML, data manipulation language, right? So what are all the process we can do? Adding the data, removing the data, modifying the data, right? So inserting, deleting and updating. In SQL, DML compromises the SQL data change statements, which modify stored data but not the schema of the database table. So a very important thing, we cannot modify the structure of the table. So using DML, we cannot modify the structure of the table. Simply we can modify the data which is stored already. So the existing data can be modified. For example, if it contains some name, for example, if it contains Subramani, so that data can be modified as Murugan. So the data which is stored in the table, that existing data can be modified, we can change, but we cannot modify the entire table. We cannot modify the structure of the table, right? So after the database schema has been specified and the database has been created, so after the database is created, after the table is created, what we are going to do? We are going to store the data. So we are going to do some process inside the table. So for that there are some set of procedures are there. So that can be expressed through DML commands. So the data can be manipulated using a set of procedures which is expressed only by DML. So using this language only we can store the data, we can modify the data, we can delete the data, everything can be done through the DML language, right? Let us see what are all the actions, what are all the things which we can perform through DML. So like DDL we have several functions. So like that DML also we have 4 functions. What are the functions? So insertion of new information. So insertion of new information into the database. So already I told you in the previous slide, inserting the data can be done, and then deleting the data can be done, and then modifying the data can be done. So that is what here they are saying, insertion of new information into the database, retrieval of information, deletion of information and modification of data stored in the database. So the 3 actions, main actions are insertion, deletion and modification. Only the data can be modified, only the data can be inserted, only the data can be deleted. We cannot change the structure of the table, right? So let us see the commands. Before seeing the commands, there are 2 types of DML. There are 2 types of DML are there. One is called a procedural DML and then non-procedural DML. So before seeing that, we want to see the types also, right? What is mean by procedural DML and what is mean by non-procedural DML? A very simple thing. Whenever the user used to specify what data is needed and how to get it. Whenever the user is used to specify what data is needed. So what is the data which is needed by the user and how to get it. Whenever he is specifying all these things, then that DML language is called a procedural DML, right? So whenever we are using the data manipulation language, we can go by procedural manner as well as non-procedural manner. Procedural manner means the user will specify the data as well as how to get the data. But non-procedural DML means the user will specify what data is needed, but he won't specify how to get it. See, the user will specify what data is needed by the user, but he will not specify how to get the data. So that is called non-procedural DML. Right? It's a very important 2 mark or a 3 mark question. So note it down. 2 types of DML are there. Then SQL commands which comes under DML. So like last slide I told you, insert, update and then delete. So insert means it is used to insert the data into the table. Inserting the data into the table. Update means updating the existing data, modifying the data. Then delete is used to delete all the records from the table, but it won't delete the space occupied by them. See, DDL we have discussed about truncate. Truncate command is used to remove all the records from the table, as well as it will remove the space which is occupied by the record. But delete command will delete all the records but not the space occupied by them. The space will not be removed. The space which is occupied already, that will be occupied as it is. Only the data is removed. The memory will be as it is in delete command. But in truncate command, it will remove the records as well as it removes the space which is occupied by the records. Can you understand, students? So the importance is commands alone we want to know. DDL commands is 4 commands: create, alter, drop and then truncate. Whereas DML commands is insert, update and then delete. Right. I think you might have understood this class, this video. So two things we have discussed: DDL and DML, data definition language and data manipulation language. So let's end the class. So thank you, students.